The growl of heavy machinery tore through the Arizona dawn like a bully kicking down your front door. There it sat, a 6-foot-deep, 20-foot-wide trench of fresh mud and ripped earth slicing straight across my only access road, turning 40 acres of my family's legacy into an island. And on the far bank, clipboard in one manicured hand, stood Evelyn Hargrove, president of the Desert Vista HOA, smiling like she'd just won the neighborhood bake-off instead of committing property line piracy at 4 a.m. "Morning, Jack," she called across the chasm, voice syrupy enough to rot teeth. "Just a little community drainage upgrade. Section 7.3 of the covenants clearly states we may improve stormwater flow for the greater good." I stared at the scar where my dad's old gravel road used to be. Greater good? You blocked the only way in or out. My truck, my tractor, my feed deliveries, all trapped like rats. Evelyn's smile never wavered. "Oh honey, it's temporary. You'll adapt." Or the board did discuss a generous offer to purchase a small easement if this becomes too inconvenient. Very neighborly, don't you think? That was the moment the quiet rancher in me died, and the man my father raised woke up swinging. At the emergency HOA meeting that evening, the folding chairs creaked under the weight of 20 curious neighbors. Evelyn presided like a queen on her plastic throne, pearl earrings swinging as she quoted bylaws the way some folks quote scripture. "Mr. Harlan, we sent 3 notices. You chose not to attend prior meetings. The project was approved 5-0. I slid my phone onto the table, screen facing up, red recording light glowing. Funny those notices were dated after the backhoes showed up. And funny how none of them mentioned carving a moat through my driveway. Her left eye twitched just once. The covenants grant the board broad discretion for public safety. You're free to build a compliant crossing at your expense, of course, and only after submitting plans for architectural review. Takes about 90 days. A low chuckle escaped me. 90 days while my cattle go hungry, and I can't leave my own land? Real convenient, Evelyn. The room shifted. Someone coughed. Evelyn's smile sharpened into something meaner. "We can't have every homeowner going rogue, Jack. Rules are rules." I stood, pocketed the still recording phone, and left them to their coffee and whispers. Behind me I heard her stage whisper, "He'll fold." They always do. They didn't know I'd already called the county. Next morning the drone hummed overhead while I walked every inch of that trench, tape measure snapping, photos time-stamped, soil samples bagged. By noon my evidence folder was thicker than Evelyn's HOA handbook. Then I drove to the county planning office and walked out with a stamped agricultural crossing permit. Same-day emergency approval because, surprise, you can't legally isolate a man on his own deeded land. Construction started at sunrise the following Saturday. Skid steer growling, gravel trucks rumbling in like cavalry. I dumped the first load, right where the old road used to cross, spreading crusher run, like I was laying down justice one scoop at a time. Halfway through the morning Evelyn's white Lexus screeched up, 2 other board members piling out behind her like backup dancers in khakis. "Stop this immediately," she shrieked, phone already filming. "That's an unapproved structure across an HOA drainage channel." I killed the engine, wiped sweat from my face, and held up the county permit like a royal decree. Section 4.1 of your own covenants says homeowners may make necessary improvements for access provided they obtain all required governmental approvals. I have mine. Where's yours? Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. The pearls looked ready to pop off. "This is outrageous. You're undermining community standards." "Lady, your community standard just tried to turn my ranch into Alcatraz. I'm simply reopening the gate." By noon the sheriff was there, not to arrest me, but to tell Evelyn and her crew to step back off my property. She left in a cloud of dust and legal-sounding threats, but the road kept rising, layer after compacted layer, until by sunset a solid gravel causeway arched across the trench like a middle finger made of stone. The retaliation was swift and petty, exactly as I expected. Yellow violation notices taped to my gate every morning like parking tickets from hell. Mailbox mysteriously loosened. Plastic cones blocking my driveway for inspection. Each one photographed, dated, filed. Every time Evelyn thought she was tightening the noose, she was just handing me another rope to hang her with. Then the county inspector showed up unannounced, the one I'd quietly tipped off. He walked the trench once, crouched, poked the collapsing walls with his boot, and let out a low whistle. No permits, no engineering stamp, no environmental review, and it crosses a recorded easement. "Ma'am," he turned to Evelyn, who'd magically appeared again, "you folks just built an illegal ditch on private land." Evelyn's face went the color of spoiled milk. It was a board decision for the greater. Greater good doesn't trump state law. The inspector cut in, slapping a bright red stop work tag on her precious trench. This project is shut down. Effective immediately. The courtroom 3 weeks later smelled like lemon polish and desperation. Evelyn sat ramrod straight in her best power suit, attorney whispering frantically. I sat beside my lawyer with 3 fat binders on the table, photos, drone footage, recordings, county reports, every nasty letter she'd ever sent. Her attorney tried the usual song and dance. The HOA acted in good faith to protect property values. The judge, a no-nonsense woman who'd clearly dealt with too many Evelyns in her career, held up a hand. Show me the permits for this so-called drainage project. Silence. Crickets. The sound of pearls sweating. My lawyer slid the county inspector's report across the bench. The judge read for 30 seconds, then looked over her glasses at Evelyn. You dug an unpermitted, unengineered trench across a man's only access on his own deeded land, then tried to fine him for fixing it. Is that your defense? Evelyn opened her mouth. Nothing came out but a tiny squeak. The gavel came down like God clearing his throat. The HOA's actions were unauthorized, arbitrary, and in direct violation of county code and recorded easements. Mrs. Hargrove, you and the association will refill the trench to its original condition at your sole expense within 30 days. You will pay all of Mr. Harlan's construction costs, legal fees, and $25,000 in punitive damages. And you will issue a written public apology posted on the community bulletin board for 30 days. Case closed. Evelyn's face did something complicated. Part horror, part realization that every rule she'd ever weaponized had just been turned around and shoved straight down her throat. The courtroom actually applauded. I didn't smile. I just nodded once, stood up, and walked out into the Arizona sun feeling 40 acres of freedom breathe again. 2 weeks later the same backhoes returned, this time crawling like scolded dogs. Evelyn stood off to the side in designer sunglasses, arms crossed so tight her knuckles went white, watching her little empire of mud get shoveled back into the hole she'd ordered dug. Every load of dirt going back in felt like karma wearing steel-toed boots. Neighbors who'd stayed quiet for years suddenly found their voices. Never seen anything like it, one old-timer told me over the fence. Woman thought she owned the whole county. I just shrugged. She forgot the land was never hers to begin with. The trench is gone now. My road stands stronger than before, raised, graveled, and legal. Evelyn still waves at HOA meetings, but the smile doesn't reach her eyes anymore, and folks have started calling her Moat Lady behind her back. Every time I drive across that crossing I built with my own hands, I remember the lesson my dad drilled into me on this same dirt. Some people hide behind rules until the rules turn on them. Then they learn the hard way that power isn't given, it's earned, defended, and sometimes taken right back. True or false? The real power abuser was the quiet homeowner who finally fought back, or the woman who thought she could play God with other people's land and never pay the price.